But everybody in this room has mastered survival. Even the youngest of us has mastered survival. Many of us have mastered survival for many, 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 many years. We're very, very comfortable in survival mode because my minimum needs are being met. And if my minimum needs are being met, and I'm getting through life with the minimum. Now, some people's minimum is more or less than other people's minimum. Some people attribute that to karma. Well, you know, my karma says I should do this. My karma says I should do that. I'm not going to debate that. I'm just saying there's difference in minimums. Getting back to this. She says, we live in, as one of my favorite death pundits, Stephen Jenkinson, calls it, a death-phobic, and for another sermon, at another time, a grief-illiterate society. This is compelling to me now, not just because of the series of transitions that I've experienced, the series of death. Let's call it death. Let's call it death. Can we say death?
Death.
Muerte, that's right. She's like, yeah. We just want to get in touch with this idea. Because grieving, the scripture says, weeping shall endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. We have a time for all seasons, Ecclesiastes tells us. There is a time for grieving. There is a time for grief. There's a time for life. There's a time. Everything has a season. But you know, we get used to things being a certain way, an only way. It's kind of like the taste buds of the Western palate, at least here in America. My good friend and mentor and brother and colleague, Brother Ishmael, talks about how the only two flavors in America is salt and sugar. That's the only thing you guys can taste.
Wow.
You have no time for bitter and sour. Of course, that's lemonade or something like that. Kids like sour. It's like we've taken the other taste and just eliminated them because we like sugar and we like salt so much we can just have a steady diet of that. But it's like only being attached to one or two colors of the rainbow, you're missing out on the vibrancy of life.
Yeah.
Grief is a very deep and powerful expression of who we are. Grief challenges us to go where we dare not dread. Because nobody's running around hoping to find something to grieve about. Now, if you're a blues musician, you might need to be thinking about some grief just in order to be inspirational, to write something. It is an art form. But generally speaking, we don't seek it out. So it catches us unaware. We're always caught off guard. We're pretending like it's not supposed to happen. We're pretending like it's not a real thing. Like maybe life is picking on me right now because I have to go through this thing that's causing me to grieve, that's causing me to be uncomfortable. Oh my God, it's causing me to grow out of my comfort zone of survival and actually live a thriving life. Actually open myself to more possibilities than I ever thought of before because I was too busy avoiding the grief, avoiding the darkness, avoiding the pain, and avoiding the death that is necessary to grow. People, there's something called necessary losses. We can't even climb the ladder if we're not willing to let go of the rung we're holding on to. That rung has to go in order for us to ascend. Yes. The breaking of the shell, we talked about the God stretched and broke the first shell. That was yours. Broke the second shell. That was the moon. We keep stretching, breaking the shells that we're in. We keep exceeding our comfort zone and making a new comfort zone, a new basis of survival, because as long as we're not reaching and stretching and opening ourselves to the most vulnerable aspects of ourselves, we are still operating in the realm of survival.
Yes.
Like I said, some survival looks better than other survival. But it's still survival. It means I'm not getting the most out of myself. I'm not bringing the best of myself. And people say, well, you know, you're just selling for low-hanging fruit. I'm like, what's wrong with that? If you're hungry, that's the first piece of shit. You need to go for that.
Yes.
But I also know the lure and the taste of the fruit on the top branch. I know what that is. I strive for that. But I'm not going to say nothing bad about the low-hanging fruit. I'm sorry. It served me well. Grief resistant. Death phobic. Grief literally said, our fear of death is so prevalent that there's a clinical name for it. Thanatophobia. Thanatophobia. Thanatophobia.